Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Is
Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
This is Hot Mike on WDAY Extra at Inforum.com. It's my birthday. It's the 13th of March, 2023. The sun is out. At least we got that going for us here today. We got lots going on. It's great to be back in the studio. I had to refamiliarize myself with everything in here. Still trying to do that, actually. We haven't been back in a week. Last time we were here was, 10 days ago we were doing the show in here. So I'm just trying to make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. It might be. Not sure on that. I think we got everything hooked up in here. It's been a little bit. So welcome to our show, everybody. Hope you all had a great weekend. Took in a sporting event or two. Survived another blizzard event. My birthday present I got was 2 rounds with the snowblower before I headed up to the shack on Saturday night. That was fun. I even scheduled this, that I waited as long as possible to get ready to go to the shack on Saturday night, knowing the plow had still not come through our neighborhood yet, right? I want to be up at the shack about 4:30, 4:45, because we go on the air at 6, get ready for the game. So I waited till it's like 3:30. I'm like, all right, I gotta, not that it takes me an hour to get ready, but wanted to get ready, then spend some time with my wife and my son before leaving to go to the basketball game. And all right, so I'm getting ready, and my wife comes into the bathroom and says, hey, the plow is in the neighborhood. I'm in the process of getting ready. So after string of curse words, the plow comes through. It literally is, we're talking a 4-foot to 5-foot. I am 5'11". Okay? It came up here. For those listening to my podcast, it's on my ribs. All right? So back out there again. So that was the birthday present I got from the neighborhood. I appreciate that. Spent yesterday, we had a nice day with my wife and my son to celebrate. We had a nice dinner last night, and ready to roll today. Celebrating my birthday with our viewers and listeners. Where else would I rather be than doing that today? Especially on a day as we are closing in on the start of the NFL league year. Is today the day that Aaron Rodgers makes up his mind and will play with the Jets or play with no one? Because it seems that's pretty much the case. The reports out over the weekend, the Packers have certainly looked like they are ready to move on, and it appears like it's either the Jets or he doesn't play. And the fact that we're saying that is kind of amazing. But we are on pins and needles waiting for that to particularly come down the pipe. After we left the show on Friday, the Bears made the monster trade to move out of the number 1 spot to the Carolina Panthers. We had that go down, and we crowned some state champions over the weekend. We'll get to that all in a second. But yesterday was a hugely busy day. We had the unveiling of the brackets, which we'll detail as our show goes on today for the 68-team fields on the men's and women's side. I'm going to tell you right now, the South Dakota State women got hosed. Not with exactly, I'll say, where they were seated. Because now they've got an awfully hard road to make it to the Sweet 16. We'll show you that in a little bit. The Oral Roberts men, well, they didn't get any favors done to them either with who they have to play. But let's start with our good friend and friend of the show, Tom Hoagie, who was At this time, when we were on the air with you Friday, he's not even going to make the weekend. He'd shot 78 in the opening round at the Players' Championship. He was likely not going to make the cut and on to the next week. But he found himself on Friday, shot 68, which ended up being the second highest, best scoring round of the day on Friday. Had to sweat it out into Saturday because they couldn't finish playing Friday night. He ends up making the cut on the number, then goes and shoots a course record 62, which we'll show you in a little bit, on Saturday. 10 under par, 62. Had everybody watching around here on Saturday, and got into the fifth to last group as it was for yesterday's final round. We'll show you what he did yesterday, which, again, in tough conditions, it was not easy. Played well. This for Eagle at the second hole, which he owned the par fives this weekend. Nearly made that, tapped in for birdie. His iron play, which we all know is phenomenal, was even better this weekend. I mean, this is an absolute dart at the fourth hole. A kick-in birdie there. That got his round jump-started by draining that. He was already 2 under on the day. He gave it up, though, with a double bogey at the sixth hole. At the ninth, this is where he set the course record yesterday. He's going pin hunting again. I mean, he will admit to you his iron play probably was never any better. I don't even think he played this well with his irons at Pebble last February. Drilled that one for birdie. He goes out in 1 under par, 35, so he's at 9 under. Gave a shot back at the 11th. This is the par 3, 13th. This is one of the hardest holes on the golf course. Look at this. Nearly an ace there. Sets himself up for another birdie putt, which he would make. And as things are happening around him, guys are passing him, but also giving shots back. The golf course was that difficult yesterday. He made pars at 14 and 15. He's in the greenside bunker at 16 and 2. That's his pitch out there. Not bad. That green runs away from you. This putt for birdie at 16, drills that, gets it to 2 under on the day. Then he gets to the island hole. This putt for birdie makes that, got to 3 under. Gave it a shot back at the 18th. I know he's going to be disappointed that he bogeyed 18, but he finishes at 10 under par, shoots 70, ties for third at the Players' Championship. That's after merely missing the weekend. He started the day in a tie for 8th. He finishes tied for third. Granted, he was 7 shots back of Scotty Scheffler, who was phenomenal again. And Scheffler's just he's on one of those runs that happens in golf. John Rahm is in the middle of one as well. But Hoagie now jumps up all the way from 24th in the FedEx Cup points to 16th. Why that's important, that's all we're talking about now, is it's for the top 30. Again, to make the Tour Championship. We saw all the luxuries that came with that by virtue of him doing that last year. And, folks, he shot 62 playing with Justin Thomas on Saturday. That's going to get people's attention for the Ryder Cup. We'll get more into this with Kolpack comes on because he's the greater golf mind than I am at 9:35. But this is going to certainly help his case to be one of the picks for the Ryder Cup team this fall. It can't hurt for what he went out there and did. At one of the toughest golf courses in the world, he now has the course record. It's as simple as that. Also, by the way, he pocketed $1.4 million in earnings. Also, not too shabby. And, by the way, he flew home in coach, which is the best part of him. So, congratulations to Tom, and we'll detail more on this coming up later on in the show. That was yesterday afternoon. Last night, the UND hockey team in dire straits. It's Game 3 of their first-round series against Omaha in the NCHC first round. They have to win this game to keep their season alive. They've got to win all their games. as Brad Schlossman has told us on the show, to make the NCAA hockey tournament, which is 10 days from now here in Fargo. The regional starts. They lost Friday night, meant they had to win Saturday, which they did. Drew DeRitter gave him a great goaltending performance. Sets up last night, Game 3, winner take all. You can't say anything more. It's a must win. And they fell behind in this game, down 2-1 in the second period. And then, boy, things changed after that. Shorthanded late in the second period of this game. They get an opportunity here. Dylan James scores shorthanded, and that ties the game up at 2. Monster goal there. So we go to the third period, same score. UND, though, grabs the lead. Griffin Ness gets open in the slot and buries it with just over 5 minutes to go in the game. Fighting Hawks have the lead at 3-2. Trying to win on the road. They brought out the black jerseys last night. As you look this puck here, Omaha couldn't clear it. Ness, right place, right time to bury it. Less than 2 minutes later, Fargo's Tyler Clevin comes in and buries one on a perfect wrist shot. His second goal in as many games. Had a big goal on Saturday night. That makes it a 4-2 UND lead. This guy's always had a lethal shot from his days of playing at Davies. That gives them a 4-2 lead. And then just 17 seconds later, before the celebration could even end on the last goal, Gavin Hain comes in, and he scores into a yawning net. That made it 5-2. And that's all UND would need as they eliminate Omaha with a flurry, a 3-goal third period to beat the Mavericks 5-2 and advance on to the NCHC Frozen Faceoff. They will still play this weekend. They will match up with St. Cloud State coming up on Friday in St. Paul. As you look, this is the updated bracket here. Denver beat Miami. Colorado College will get the Pioneers as they reseed out of the opening round. How about that CC beating Western Michigan? And then UND gets St. Cloud State. The game times may be determined when we're on the air. It's either going to be 4 o'clock or 7:30 and St. Paul, which will be filled up with UND fans. It's St. Patrick's weekend. It's become customary that the Fighting Hawk fans find their way down to St. Paul for the Frozen Face-Off. And those games televised on the CBS Sports Network. Congratulations, though, to UND. What a comeback that was to pull one out of the fire on the road and get the victory here last night. That was not the only crazy hockey game. The Minnesota Wild played a bonkers one last night in a college arena, apropos as it were, as they're playing at the Mullet Arena against the Arizona Coyotes. Team that's buried in the standings, not very good. The Wild have been humming since even losing Kirill Kaprizov. Ryan Reeves does what he does, got into a fight in this game to spark up his team. The Wild respond. Matt Zuccarello scores here. Nifty shot down low between the in the 5-hole there to make it a 1-1 game. Now 2-1 Coyotes. Reeves gets the Gordie Howe hat trick here. Assists on a goal, gets into a fight, then scores on a perfect deflection in front. Ties the game up at 2. Early second. Don't leave this guy alone. Matt Boldy. Wild love this kid, and for good reason. He scores on the breakaway, makes it a 3-2 Minnesota lead. They would add one here in the late stages of the second. Connor Noir comes in and risks home a goal. It's 4-2 Minnesota on the road. But the Coyotes would get back into this game. Brett Ritchie makes it 4-3 at the end of the second. Clayton Keller. Don't need to remind UND fans about him. He scored the game-winning goal against the Fighting Hawks for BU here in Fargo way back when. Makes it a 4-4 game. Wild had a chance at overtime to take the lead or win the game here. It's a fabulous save on the breakaway. And then Keller will win it for Arizona here. Finds the rebound and tucks it behind Gustafson. And the Coyotes get the extra point with a 5-4 win over the Wild, their 8th either shootout or overtime loss of the season. Now 38-21-8 on the season. But because of this stretch that the Wild have been on, they have pretty much locked up the fact that they're going to be a playoff team in 2023, which about a month ago probably weren't feeling that way, especially after the All-Star break. Just the second loss they've had now, 25-0-2 and leading after the second period. You see Foligno left the game with an lower body injury. Wild will wrap up their road swing with the Blues. Oh, this is fancy, guys. I like this. This is the up-to-date standings now in the Western Conference. The Wild are just a point behind Dallas for the Central Division lead, which is crazy to say. They got a 5-point lead on Winnipeg. And if you just want to go for the wild card spots, they're 11 points ahead of Nashville and Calgary. So they are, again, you got to get points in almost every game. The Wild did that last night. They got a point in that game. But, boy, they have been just on a tear here lately. Just even going back to right before the trade deadline. Right after they lost that 7-game homestand they had. You know, they got blitzed by Vegas. They lost in a shootout to the Devils, won a shootout against the Devils, lost in a shootout to the Panthers, lost to the Avalanche. Then since then, February 17th, so almost a full month here, they beat Dallas, beat Nashville, beat L.A., beat the Blue Jackets, lost in overtime to the Maple Leafs, won in overtime against the Blue Jackets, won in a shootout against the Islanders, won against the Canucks on the road, won against the Flames on the road, lost in a shootout to the Flames, still got a point, won at the Jets, won at the Sharks. It's not West Side Story, but you get my point. And then a point last night. And they go to the Blues on Wednesday night, and then they're back home for a little bit here because they got to get out of Dodge for the NCHC tournament. They'll actually play Saturday afternoon before the championship game that night. But they got the Bruins coming up. Boston's the best team in the NHL. They've already clinched a playoff spot as Boston after 64 games, which is crazy. Then the Capitals. Then they go to the New Jersey Devils next week. So, again, we're running out of games here, but things are looking up for the Minnesota Wild. We have a pack. Jeff Kolpack will be back in just a few minutes. We'll recap big weekend for him on the north side. After the North Spartans won the boys basketball championship up at the Shack, we'll get into that with Jeff. We're also waiting to see about the Bison women and the women's NIT. This is an interesting operation, folks. I'll tell you this. Because the field has been picked, but we don't know who's playing. We don't know when they're playing. We don't know where they're playing yet. All we know, they're in. That may happen as we're on the air. We'll get into that with Jeff coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, Jeremy Brandt will join us, head coach of the Beulah Boys. The Miners are returning to the state basketball tournament for the first time since 2020. We remember that Beulah made it with that epic win over Dickinson Trinity that year. And, of course, we didn't play the State B. Well, they will play it this year in Bismarck, and the Miners are part of it. Their last Class B, as they are set to move up to the new A division. We'll visit with Jeremy coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, one of the great stories all season long, as the Fargo North boys won the state championship in front of an electric crowd at the Shack on Saturday night. It was fantastic, folks. I know I got pushback about, well, I said there wasn't a seat to be had and there were seats open. People can't let anything go anymore. It was a great environment. It was packed, and North won it. They stormed the court. That doesn't happen in Class A, folks. It happens in Class B. We'll visit with Travis Hoeg about winning the state championship. He was the interim coach last year, now got the job, and brings home a state championship. Pretty cool stuff. We'll do that before we say goodbye. Then I've got my own birthday wishes I want to see happen. We'll detail all of that and a heck of a lot more on a Monday morning. We're glad you're joining us. Great to be back in studio. Hot Mike, back after this on WDAY Extra at Inforum.com. All right. Jeff Kolpack coming up in about 15 minutes' time. lot to get there with recapping what we've seen over the last few days. Great to be back here in studio. We'll do my own sports birthday wishes. We'll do that. By the way, I'm going to out him here. His birthday is tomorrow. Kolpack's birthday is, so we can make sure we wish him an early birthday when he's by the studio here in a few minutes. Let's do our best of the weekend. Lots to get to parse through. Lost in everything. The North Dakota State baseball team is off to a rotten start. Okay, they've lost, I think, 11 games in a row. They got swept again this weekend against Texas State. They're playing a brutal schedule as Tyler Oaks' team. They play Texas this week. They played an absolute bonkers game Saturday. I think in San Angelo. I think that's where Texas State is. We'll just show you the score of this game before we show you what happens. It's 17-14 Texas State, okay? In the top of the ninth inning. 17-14. Now play it. The bases are loaded for the Bison. And of course, what happened? A grand slam in the top half of the ninth inning to give the Bison an 18-17 lead. Why wouldn't there be a grand slam? So the Bison, all right, we're finally going to get a win here. But then the bottom of the ninth happens. Texas State gets a couple runners on. As you look at the replay of the grand slam that was hit. Short porch, apparently, all over the place at Texas State. That was Kyle Law who delivered. Texas State wins it with a walk-off two-run shot in the bottom of the ninth inning to beat the Bison 19-18. 19-18. The Bison had 18 runs on 20 hits. The Bobcats had 19 runs on 15 hits and ended up losing the game. Terrell Huggins hit 2 home runs for the Bison. Brookshaw hit 2. I mean, this is like RBI baseball here with how many home runs were hit. The Bison are 1-14 on the season. Their record, I know, is not pretty, but they have played everybody. They played Arizona State. They're going to play Texas. They played some really tough teams in California. I mean, it's been a tough road here for Tyler Oaks' team, who has yet to even come home. They've stayed out on the road this entire time, and they will this week, playing Powerhouse in Texas. From that championship game on Saturday night, I had this tweeted at me like, hey, can we send this into ESPN for just what happened? And for good reason. This is from the Red River North game on Saturday night. Just a quick sequence of this game that I thought typified how the game played out. As North is ahead, go ahead and play it here, boys. It's just wild. It's early in the game. It's 20-12. Reese Rokamp hits a 3. Makes it a 5-point game, right? North comes back. They hit a 3 in the corner from Jeremiah Sem. Makes it 23-15. Then, why wouldn't you have a little behind-the-back pass for a North lay-in to make the lead 10? And then, of course, how does Red River answer? They come back with a 3 of their own. I mean, this literally always one sequence in the game without any stoppages. This is the kind of basketball game that we had. As then North, for good measure, said, all right, we'll hit a 3 on our end. That was the kind of game that we had on Saturday night. That behind-the-back pass was just fantastic. Freewheeling kind of hoops. You love that. No fouls. Let's go. It's almost pickup basketball they were playing in the state championship game on Saturday night at the Shack. Lastly, you may have seen this already, but you know what? We're going to show it again simply because when you set a record at TPC Sawgrass, you got to show what happened. We showed you how Hoagie finished yesterday. This is what he did on Saturday. Started there with an early birdie. Remember, he started the day at +2. Here at the 18th hole. The 18th, people take for granted because 17 is the island green. 18 is almost just as hard. Hit a great shot there. Watch this putt. It's going to give the full U-ey around and in on the horseshoe. Horseshoe for a birdie there. already, so he's 5 under par. Made a couple more birdies. Now he's at -5, so he's 7 under par for the day. Another birdie here at 4. Now he's 8 under on the day. The course record was 63. That's -9. This putt at 8. This is to tie for the low round ever. Gets it. He's 9 under on the day. So he's going to the 9th hole. Par 5. This is a perfect little layup here. And he's got roughly, what is that, 6 feet? 7 feet. That's for 62. Ended up being 10, for the course record. The best part is Hoagie said after the round he had no idea, which, by the way, I don't think anybody finds that to be unbelievable because that's how Tom is. 62 with that putt. Even a smile came out of Hoagie after breaking the course record at Sawgrass. We mentioned what he did yesterday. Pretty good stuff for the guy from Fargo over the weekend. We'll take a break. We come back. Jeff Kolpack will by. We'll break much more down on Hoagie's fantastic weekend and what's up with the Bison women as we wait to see what the WNIT will do. Hot Mike back after this on WDAY Extra at Inforum.com.
It's that time. An author,
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2, I forgot.
golfer,
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
and one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
Well, I have to ask, has the partying stopped on the north side?
Oh, yeah. Probably not. Yeah. Been a while since the old North Riders won a state title.
In pretty much any sport. That's the, 2012 boys hockey was probably the last, I want to say, as a team sport. I think I've got to double check on that.
Yeah, golf, no.
Yeah.
Volleyball, no.
No.
Basketball,
No.
Baseball,
Not
no.
football, not baseball. I'm almost 100% certain on that. That's how cool it was, and what a neat environment. I was up there for the semifinals and the championship on Friday and Saturday. That was a different vibe. Obviously, with North being so close, obviously, to the Shack, that you knew that was going to be well attended. But Jeffrey, that was a fun environment this weekend.
I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of the drought has to do with just the population, and the enrollment is down so far. And people like me are part of the problem because we don't leave. You don't leave and you go somewhere and a new family comes in because there's really nowhere to expand on the north side. So I'm part of the problem. I'm sorry. But, enrollment's coming up a little bit, I think, and numbers are a big deal in high school athletics. And when you're trying to compete against Davies and Bismarcks and Minotts and West Fargos that are just have so many more kids, like personally in hockey, we just didn't have the numbers during my 2 kids' reigns there. I mean, it's hard to do. But, now they have more players and they're better in hockey. Now they have more players that are better in basketball, football, runner-up. I mean, I know it's down a class, but they're still pretty good in football now, and because the numbers are up. It's simple as that.
You could say Fargo North South won the championship in girls hockey, so you got that one, and they've
that's
done that.
Debatable. About if you're gonna the real hardcores on the north side,
right? And they're gonna say, well, wait a minute, how many kids were from North and how many kids were from South that played on that team? This was a North championship on its own. I know how well you know Travis Hoeg. Travis is going to join us in our second hour. One of the all-time great guys, and he was obviously overcome on Saturday night for good reason. This meant a lot. He's been through a lot over the last few months. Yeah, and with his father passing away, and it's hard coaching. It's just high school kids, and he got them to buy into defense, which is hard to do for high school kids. And to me that was the switch. And I've talked to him about that. Your path is defense. That's how you're going to win. Yeah.
And he got him to buy in here late in the season, and I think that was evident in the state tournament.
The Sem brothers are pretty electric, are they not? I mean, that was fun TV to see what they were doing.
He got, especially Jerry, to buy into defense. Jerry had a couple blocks that just it was all effort.
Yep.
I don't know if that was such the case earlier in the year, but there's so many effort plays I think I saw in the state tournament that you probably didn't see earlier in the year.
Big stuff. There's big-time stuff for North. And, by the way, that's what that building can be like when it's packed. I mean, how often have we seen that for Bison basketball? Maybe once or twice. That's probably when the Jackrabbits have been here over the last few years. That's what that building can be like when you've got that kind of people there.
Yeah, with the acoustics for what they are.
It was loud. It was you had a vibe in there that's just not normally there for Bison
And I would
basketball.
argue the state hockey tournament should always be at Shields and never at the Ralph.
Yep.
It's just too big. The Ralph is just too big.
I think you got some momentum that particularly might be happening there. So, at least on the hockey side of things. I will turn to you as a great golf mind. Tell me how big this weekend is for Fargo's Own and what happened over the last couple days.
Well, first of all, the circumstances of him looking to book flights after his 78, and then he sets a course record. Golf is so weird, isn't it? What a strange game. You can just turn it around at a dime like that. I would be curious to see, and I'll have him on my golf show when we start up here later in the month, that, okay, what switched here?
Yeah.
Was it just a technicality of something here and there? Were you 2 inches too far away from the ball or what?
His iron play was just awesome, which it normally is, but it was even more on target
Look
this
at these
weekend.
shots.
I know.
And those aren't 90-yard shots either. But it's all about putting, as we know. And when he won Pebble Beach, the putter was hot.
Yep.
And he got hot, obviously, with the putter there. I just he's put himself in a position where now is the Ryder Cup coming in play.
I mentioned that off the top of the show.
Is he almost ready to? Is he almost wrapped up a tour championship appearance with his FedEx points?
I would think so on the
He's
FedEx.
getting there.
I would think so with the FedEx Cup right now. He's 16th there. I mean, even if he finishes, like, say, 10th at another event, another prestige event like this, it's almost a lock stock that he's made the tour the top 30 again, which we know all that comes with that. Now, honestly, I'm looking. I don't know if this is updated yet on the Ryder Cup points here. He's 14th in the points right now. So I think it's the top 6. Yeah, the top 6 are automatically qualified.
And I believe that almost locks you into the British Open. There's a certain period of time, the top so many players 5 weeks before the British get in or something like that. So he's almost a lock for that, too. So that'd be all 4 majors for the second year in a row.
The fact that he's 14th, though, in the Ryder Cup, that's the top 6 are automatically, and there's 6 captains' picks. He's got to be at least in the consideration.
He's got to be, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, right now he's got more points than Finau. Well, Dustin Johnson's not going to be considered. Ricky Fowler more. I mean, Matt Kuchar, he's right around there with Spieth, Schauffele, Keegan Bradley, Patrick Cantley. These are guys that he's beaten out on the tour the last couple
and he
weeks.
set the course record at a course, TPC Sawgrass. This ain't Edgewood here. I mean, he set the course record at one of the toughest courses
that there is
in the world.
I would argue, and maybe I'm crazy. Do you think? I thought he maybe have played better here than he did when he won at Pebble. Is that preposterous to say?
Well, not over 4 days, obviously, but for the weekend.
The last weekend?
Yeah, but Peddle, he down the stretch to win.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't going to win this tournament. Scheffler obviously had a huge lead. So I think that's different circumstances. I still say winning down the stretch at Pebble was a bigger deal than this.
Davis Love III is the captain. Zach Johnson is one of the vice captains. I got an email that says, ask Kolpack, does Zach Johnson being a Midwestern guy, does that open up the door for Hoeg?
Zach Johnson from Drake? No.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
keep their Midwest roots together, I guess is what the email was asking.
Now, if they're TCU teammates or something, or
that might.
Both Horned Frog grads, that might influence a little bit.
Well, he and Spieth are buddies, so that may sway something there.
And he did the course record with Justin Thomas.
Right. More importantly, he's got to play better. He's got to keep playing well the rest of the way here. Because remember, he had that midseason swoon last year that really hurt him after he won at Pebble. He can't have that happen if he wants consideration for the Ryder Cup.
And the Ryder Cup's over there.
Correct. It's in Italy.
Yep.
This year. So
is it in the budget?
I don't think so. You can ask.
It might be in your budget.
Yeah, I don't. Well, we're doing okay here, but I don't think we're going to make it over there. As before we came on the air, former Bison quarterback Easton Stick is staying put. Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network reporting that he's going to re-sign with the Los Angeles Chargers.
You surprised?
I am.
I'm a little bit.
But apparently, according to Rappaport, he is going to be the backup to Herbert. So no longer the number 3. he would be the number 2, which I guess that would be if his agent is telling you, okay, they're moving on from Chase Daniel because I'm sure he's overpaid.
He's 36.
That you're going to be Herbert's number one guy, and Herbert has been tendency to get beat up and miss games. That maybe that opened the door for Easton. I am surprised. I thought the way he talked at the end of the season, I thought he was ready to move on after his time in L.A.
And give a starting spot,
Right.
a shot somewhere. But this tells me, it's probably the reality of his situation. He's a smart guy. He knows probably his place in the league, and that is right here. And there must be some sort of, okay, you're going to be our guy number 2. It's got to be, right?
Yeah, that's everything that we've seen here is the implications he's going to be the guy behind.
Did they release the details of the contract?
Nothing on that specifics yet there.
No, it's got to be a little hike there, I would imagine.
I'd imagine so, but we can maybe find that out in our commercial break, at least what he was making there. But he's staying put, which is, not the first quarterback news I thought we'd have on this Monday. It was NFL free agency is set to get going, but he's only played in one career game so far, and it's tough because I know he wants to play, but you can make a heck of a living as a backup quarterback in the National Football League.
Your brain's pounded in either. That sort of there's got to be something to that too. I know you want to play, but it's a nice little deal that he has going. And speaking of things heating up, the transfer portal now is
Today's the day, my man. Today is the day because
there's names every 2 minutes going on Twitter.
So the selection shows were yesterday, and for people that remember, we did this dance in the fall. The day after the championship selections are made is when the portal can officially open, which is now for the next, I believe, 6 weeks that it can be open for. One has already gone in. Caleb Nero is going in from UND. We'll see. I think there's going to be some really familiar names that people will recognize in the Summit League. They're going to be in there maybe later today. This is kind of for coaches, just kind of grip onto your chairs and hold on because you just don't know.
No, ask NSU football coaches. I mean, there's a couple of names just blew them away over the last 2-3 years. Like, really? You're going? Okay.
Yep.
I don't agree with your decision. I don't think you're going to find what you think you're going to find on the other side, which has been proven true for the most part. I would say over half those Bison guys probably didn't get what they thought they would get.
Yeah, I think as it
more
played out, I mean, Greasel was the guy at Nebraska.
I'm talking
which
football,
I think,
I guess.
Sorry,
but yeah.
But Greasel ended up being the guy. I don't know if Tyree Edey, if it worked out. Jarius Cook at Jacksonville. Malik Harden-Hayes had a good year at North Carolina Wilmington. They were a win away from going to the NCAA basketball tournaments. Yep. Football-wise, right now we haven't got any real hard numbers yet on the guys that left out. Whether we're still waiting on Eubanks has got a couple offers out there that he's tweeted out that we know of. Nothing on Kobe Johnson that we've heard of yet. All quiet on Dom Jones right now. Doesn't mean it hasn't been extended. Just it's not been made public on that. The biggie we're wondering on is obviously Grant Nelson. Now Nelson is going to fully go through the NBA draft process, but he also could enter his name in the transfer portal as well. So I want people to be prepared for that. If they see Nelson's name there, that's not a shock. I don't think that's going to be a shock to some. Whether he comes back here, I think is, like we mentioned when we wrapped up our coverage in Sioux Falls. I think it's very small that he plays for the Bison.
I don't know how much in a hurry he's got to be if you're going through the draft process. Right. And say you get to the end and you can still go into the portal.
Yep.
They'll be lining up to take him. So
correct.
I don't think he's going to put his name in today.
No, I don't think you're going to see that. The first thing you're going to see is his name entered for the NBA draft combine and all that kind of stuff going forward. Let's take a break. We come back. We'll update, educate fans on the WNIT and the process that is because it's a little cloudy because we still don't know what the Bison women, who they're playing, where they're playing, when they're playing as we sit here at 9:45 on a Monday. We'll be back on this Monday morning on Hot Mic right after this. All right, wrapping up hour one. Easton Stick, by the way, career earnings of about $3.2 million. He signed a 4-year, about $2.985 million contract when he signed with the Chargers with a little bit of about a $500,000 signing bonus. So I would say probably in that range, depending on the length of the deal, which we don't know yet. he's probably going to get a little bit of a bonus there, or a raise, I should say. So it's not bad. Not bad living.
It's pretty good.
Two things here before I let you go. NCAA Wrestling Championships begin this weekend in Tulsa. The Bison will be represented again. 6 are going down to Tulsa with, I think, Jared Franick. How high would you say his chances are to win? Is this the best that NDSU's had to win in a weight class in moving up to Division
believe so.
I think so, too.
I believe so, too. And he's just so balanced and strong, and he's a veteran guy, and he's coming back next year, too. So I'm actually going to talk to him today. His past tournaments were not what he wanted, so I think there's some motivation there just to get All-American status.
Yeah, I think high up on the podium, not just 7th or 8th. He wants to be up. He wants to be wrestling, obviously, Saturday night. If that's the case, you're wrestling for the championship. And that's a different deal. The Bison have not made it to Saturday night with a guy yet. They've been on Saturday, but not to the night session, which would be a heck of a thing if that comes about.
And I think Michael Caliendo is on that path, too. He's a redshirt freshman. It may not happen this year.
Tough weight class he's in, but yeah.
But I think he's on that path where he could potentially be there Saturday night, too.
God,
if he stays here.
Yeah, right. Again, it's not just to football and basketball that we're talking about here. It's wrestling certainly is the case where there will be people swooping in and say, hey, why don't you come here?
Yeah, there's a certain level of top-end wrestling schools, as we know in the Big 12, especially with Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Missouri, and those kind of schools. And I don't know, do they sweep in and go after these guys like the Michael Caliendos of the world?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know. Nothing would surprise me.
No, not anymore.
Yeah, no.
Not on that. All right, so I've had a couple people ask me, Dom, where are the Bison women playing? I can tell you we don't know yet. So the women's NIT field came out last night.
And they could play Wednesday.
Yes, exactly. The first round games will be Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. The field is set. We know the 64 teams. We just don't know yet, as we sit here almost at 10 o'clock Central Time on Monday morning, who they're playing, where they're playing, or when they're playing. And I look, Kolpack, the teams in here. I mean, there are some high majors. Kansas is here. Nebraska's in this field. Wofford, Wyoming. These are teams. Now, there are teams in the footprint here that I could see them playing. Green Bay is there. Illinois State is there.
Northern Iowa
is there. They played Green Bay and Northern Iowa earlier this season.
Nebraska.
It could very well be paired up with Nebraska.
Don't they want to do bus trips if all possible?
I would think so. Now, I know, as we reported, that the Bison have submitted a bid to host. I don't know, compared to what these high majors, if they want to do that or not. We saw last year South Dakota State certainly put up some cash, and they hosted all those games. They got UCLA. They got Minnesota. They got Alabama, all to come to their place. I don't know if Matt Larson is willing to do that, but that's something that's going to be really. I'm more intrigued on who they're playing than where they're playing right now.
It's a bid process, right? So the highest bid wins in a general geographical area.
Yeah, I am intrigued on that. Now the UND women are also playing. They are in the women's basketball invitational. That's a thing you have to pay.
You have to pay
to get into. That's an 8-team event that's played down in Lexington, Kentucky. So that's a little bit different than what this is.
Not $200 either.
No, that's a hefty fee. It could be over $10,000 from what I've heard. That's a fee to get into there. Tim Miles' team is still playing. They're in the CBI. San Jose State is going to that. That's another thing that you have to pay to get into. The Bison were in that a few years back, almost a decade ago now, if I remember right.
Be interesting if Tim surfaces as a candidate at somewhere else, because he's done an incredible job at a place where they've just never won at San Jose like they have this year. Not even close.
Nope.
It was considered absolutely one of those dead-end jobs in America. And I think Tim took it because he was out a couple of years and okay, I need to get back in somewhere.
And he's done a heck of a job winning. Won 20 games at San Jose State, which is...
Beat Nevada in the Mountain West. There's 3 Mountain West teams in the NCAA tournament.
4. I think 4 actually. Again, so Mountain West
3 at large. Yeah, you're right.
Mountain West
4.
was well represented again, which, again, goes
to
show you...
So when we get in the Mountain West...
it's a pretty good basketball league as well, not just football there. Oral Roberts is a 12. They drew Duke.
That was a bad draw.
What do you think?
What a bad draw. It just... I mean,
Duke's red hot right now, too.
Yeah, that's one of the worst 12-5 draws for a 12 seed. Because when the Bison were 12, they had Oklahoma, which wasn't Duke, and I don't think wasn't nearly that talented, if I remember right.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a couple players, but they weren't Duke either on a hot streak.
No, that's right. And they're coming in red hot. That game is a Thursday night game on CBS. which is, by the way, the second time in 4 years that the Summer League champ gets the CBS game, much like the Bison did when they played Duke in 2019. The Jack women got the 9 seed, which is great, except you are now in the bracket with the 1. They play USC, and if they win that, they have to beat Virginia Tech on their floor to make it to the Sweet 16. That is a tough draw for the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, you'd want to be at 10 or 11 almost in that situation.
Yes.
But, if you win your first-round game in the NCAA tournament, that's considered a really good season.
Absolutely.
And you face number 1, you're probably going to have a whole lot of chance.
Well, especially because it's a true road game. It's not like it's a neutral site for the men's basketball tournament. They're going on the road to play against Virginia Tech. Everybody is looking at South Carolina. South Carolina hasn't lost a game. That they're the defending champs. They obviously beat the Jackrabbits earlier this season as the overwhelming favorite. I'm intrigued to see how the women's tournament plays out. It's going to be maybe some new names that we're not used to that might make it to the Final Four this year.
Whatever happened to Tennessee?
They are.
What happened to UConn?
Midland there. UConn's still okay, but their 2 best players got hurt. I mean, next year they're going to be right back. When Paige Beckers comes back, they're going to be A-OK there. But I'll be interested to see. That'd be a heck of a thing if Oral Roberts can get a win. Heck of a deal if they could do that.
Beat Duke.
Be something there.
It's a team that made the Sweet 16 a couple years ago. They got veteran players.
I think your guy Millsy might be on his way out too, though. He's being rumored for a couple jobs out there.
Yeah,
so
fine with me.
So Texas Tech, maybe, that his name has been bandied about, and you win another game in the NCAA tournament like you did a couple years ago.
I don't know how he doesn't get another job after that.
Even had 3 wins over the last couple of years in the NCAA tournament. Not too bad there. Great to see you as always, man. Thanks for coming by.
Good to see you, too.
Congratulations to you Northsiders up there.
All
Celebrate
right,
up there, all right? Jeff Kolpack joining us each and every Monday on Hot Mic. We'll take a break. We come back. We'll start hour 2. Get us ready for the Class B boys that begin on Thursday in Bismarck. Beulah head coach Jeremy Brandt will join us when we start our second hour right after this.
This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic on the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody, on this Monday morning. Hot Mic, hour 2 rolls on. WDAY Extra, Inforum.com. We'll visit with state champion head coach Travis Hoeg coming up at 10:35 after the North Spartans beat Red River in an electric game on Saturday night at the Shack. We'll do that in just a little bit. It is Class B basketball tournament week back in Bismarck as the Boys B take center stage for the final time as the Boys B, with the 8 teams that will descend upon the event center on Wednesday, with the games to begin on Thursday. The Beulah Miners are back at state for the first time in 3 years. It's our pleasure to welcome back boys basketball head coach Jeremy Brandt to our show. I was just joking with you off air that, the last time you made state, it was obviously it was a much different feeling 3 years ago. Tell me about the emotions of now going and you're going to play in 2023.
Well, right. Me addressing the boys on Friday after we had won the regional tournament and telling them that there wasn't going to be a tournament because we had just found out that afternoon. So, that was an emotional time for our guys and myself to, kind of get that rug pulled out from under us. And then not having a state tournament at all was a tough pill to swallow. And shoot, that was the last time we were in school, Dom, that year too.
Man.
So what a difference whatever 3 years have made. So yeah, I mean, it's been an exciting time for us, obviously, to get back and getting ourselves ready now to go to the state tournament here or start play on Thursday.
I know you've been there recently as well, but I know it's different each time. What were the emotions like Thursday night to win that game against Bowman, knowing you're going back?
Well, I mean, it never gets old. I mean, it's still an awesome feeling. And, we have a new group of kids. None of these kids have gotten to experience this. So for them, it's a great thing. And, my assistant coach, his son plays on the team, and there's not a better feeling for a father and son, to get to experience this together. So, what a great thing for them. And then actually one of my former players that was on the 2012 team that won the state tournament, he's back here in Beulah, and he's also one of our assistant coaches. So that's been a great addition and really exciting for him too, to get him on staff.
Does it make you feel old?
Yeah, it does. It really does. But, when you look back, I think this is year number 29. So I've been at this a while.
Well, and you experienced this with your son up close and personal. Those are memories you're going to have, with your assistant as well. You can share exactly what that was like.
Well, right. And the first thing I told him, my assistant after the game was, I'm so happy for you. I said, for you and your son to be able to get to experience this. And because I got to experience that with Trey, twice. And then the third time, we didn't get to go because of COVID, but it as an athlete and as a coach and as a dad, that's the ultimate thing to be able to experience. I think with your kid is to be able to have that experience of going to a state tournament. And so I just hope they enjoy it and have fun with it. And I think they will.
You will play Medina Pingree Buchanan. That's the second game at 2:45 on Thursday. You earn the 3 seed. When you, in the voting process on this, tell me about how that works. Just even for fans, Jeremy, that don't know the process, how does that go about? And then when do you find out where you're at?
Well, after semifinal night, there's all 16 teams are sent a questionnaire, and we're supposed to fill out, our good wins and kind of sell our team and sell ourselves. And we use that RPI website and the coaches poll website and things like that. But we sell ourselves, and then I believe it was Friday morning or Friday night, we get that information back to us. So then we as coaches can make a decision. And then on Friday morning, we get another Google form sent back where we rate the top 7 teams, don't rank ourselves and what we think are based on the information or resources we're given. And then we send it back, and then, it was before 11 o'clock on Friday. Then we knew what the results were.
What'd you make of where you were seated?
Well, I guess going in and knowing the teams that qualified, I think that's kind of about where I thought we might get it too, because we had beat Shiloh head to head, but Shiloh ended the season a little bit better than us as far as win-loss. And so it didn't surprise me that they jumped above us, I guess, and we were a 3. So, we were happy to get a seed. And so that, I think that's a big part of the, that they seeded it. It's important to get that seed, I think, or it can be, as long as our kids take advantage of it now, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I can understand for people probably in your community having a hard time. Like, wait a minute, we beat Shiloh head to head. Why are we seated underneath them? But that's the whole part of brackets and all that kind of good stuff to debate on a Monday that we could do that. Now, you got Medina Pingree Buchanan. That's the champs out of Region 3. And we were just visiting off air. It always seems out of Region 3, it's a different team every year, and B, you just don't know a whole lot about them. What's the scouting been like now over the last couple of days to get ready for your opponent?
Well, just a lot of that, just watching film, and trying to get up to speed on them. They have 2 kids that seem to be probably take the majority of their shots or centered around or kind of is the center of their team. They're big and physical. They don't look to be real deep, but again, we're trying to come up with a game plan. I think for the most part, we got things that we need in place for that game, but the factor or the wild card always in the state tournament to me, Dom, is you get those kids on that stage on TV, they're going to walk into that floor in the Civic Center and the hair is going to stand up in the back of their necks because of, the situation that they're in. And the team that's able to settle in and kind of relax and adjust to that environment the fastest is usually the team that's better off. And you just don't know how high school kids are going to react to that situation. And we can prepare all year, and I think we're at practice 52 today. We'll be on the year, and you just hope all those things that we've done up to this point translate and carry over now into the game when we get on that floor on Thursday.
There's only 8 teams still playing or still practicing, man. That's got to feel pretty good. I'm assuming you addressed that with the guys even late last week. There's only 8 teams left practicing. We're one of them.
Well, absolutely. And then to look at, to me, this is one of probably the most gratifying years as a coach that I've had, because you look back last year, we lost 80% of our scoring of our statistics off of our team that graduated. And we come back with a bunch of kids that, they're hungry and they're pretty good players, but they didn't have a lot of experience, and we're still kind of young. We're playing a couple seniors, but we're kind of dominated by juniors and freshmen right now. So, but these kids they have that mentality. They're just going to go out and compete. And that's, like I said, for me, it's been very gratifying to see this group come together like they have.
Jeremy Brandt joining us, Beulah head coach. The Miners will face off against Medina Pingree Buchanan, our second game at 2:45. You'll see it live on WDAY on Thursday. Back at the event center, you mentioned that's where the tournament was supposed to be in 2020. Just that environment, how special of a place is that place for you?
Well, in 1989, Dom, when I was a senior, that's where it was played. I got to play in that venue. So, I mean, that brings back a lot of memories and a lot of great memories for me as a player. So, and it's just been kind of that center of focus. It just seems like for Class B basketball for many, many years, the Civic Center has, and I don't think that's changed for a lot of people. So, and I think our kids understand, it's a big deal that they get this opportunity. So, again, I just hope they enjoy it, and it's only 75 miles down the road for us, so we're going to have great fan support. I know our student body and our community will come out and support. So I really think that again, we're going to have there's going to be a sea of blue at the Civic Center on Thursday, I believe.
Just over the last 15 years here, 2010, 12, 14, 18, 19, 20, 23. That's really hard to do. How proud are you when I say that's got to be an immense amount of pride that you guys have been to state that frequently?
It is, and I think that first year when we won it in 2000, or we got there in 2010, it was very unexpected. But that really was just kind of what kicked off our program, what just has created this for our program. We had a bunch of really hardworking blue collar kids. And, from then on, we've just kind of set an expectation. I think our program has had that we should be competing for a region championship every year. And, we've been fortunate enough to win. I believe this was our 7th one now. And I just think our kids, when they come into our program, they understand what those expectations are, and they take it very serious, and they work hard to try to sustain that level of, excellence, or whatever you want to call it, that we've, built up here. And it's been great for our community, who's very supportive, and parents here as well.
You and I last chatted during the 3-class proposal. It is now official. I know where you stood on it, but it affects your team because you're going to move up to Class A next year. How are you? You're as a Class B guy at heart. How do you feel? Are you mixed on this weekend? Are you embracing it? Where are you at about knowing this is it for Beulah in the Class B?
Well, I'm embracing it because I think it's, we know it's our last one, and I think our kids understand that as well. And we went into the regional tournament knowing that we could be the last Region 7 champion. But yeah, on the other side of it, I'm maybe a little bit more mixed personally, because I come from a real small town. Newburgh, we were small. But man, you look back through the 80s, we had a pretty good run there in the 1980s, and we were still about 45, 50 kids in high school. So at heart, I'm still a small town kid, but I mean, I'm embracing it. I think it's good. It's going to be good for our state. I think it's going to be good for the small schools and even the middle class schools. I know there's been some kickback, but my assistant and I have talked about this. It's going to force us to get better.
Yeah.
We're going to have to improve. We're going to have to, put more time in with our athletes maybe than we already do now, but we're going to have to improve if we want to compete against now the Devils Lakes, the Wahpetons, and those schools that are coming down into our division. So is it going to be easy? No, but again, it's just going to make us better, I think, in the long run.
5 of the 8 teams, Jeremy, that are at state are moving up. How do you feel like that will be? I know it's going to be a huge topic out there. What do you make of that this is the last Class B, and then more than half of this field is moving on? They're not going to be Class B schools anymore.
Well, I think there'll be plenty of people down there that'll be kind of say, don't let the door hit you on the way out, type of thing. Because I mean, Dom, we know that those small schools, they're ready to get rid of our bigger schools and some of the private schools, and I completely understand it. I really do. But I just think too that, it's for whoever wins this, I think it's a big deal because it is the last Class B state tournament as well. And so, I mean, like I said, we're embracing it. I think there's, like you said, there's going to be a lot of conversation, no doubt, because the majority of the field, or more than half, is going to move up. And those schools that are going to stay down, I think they have, in the smaller schools, I think they have something to look forward to now as well, because I believe that they feel that things are going to be more competitive for them year after year as well.
How does this change your schedule? I know I was visiting with Jason about this, your AD, right after this went down. Are you playing a majority of the same teams, or is this going to blow up what your schedule looks like next year?
It's going to blow it up some.
Yeah.
I think right now we're going to play, we hadn't planned on playing any Class B teams next year, but I think we actually are keeping Bowman on the schedule.
Okay.
We're playing them in a jamboree in Dickinson, I think. But no, it's definitely going to blow up. We're looking at, playing some teams in the East. We're probably going to, we play a lot of the teams in the North already, but I think we're going to probably add a couple more there as well. It's going to create a little bit more travel, but, and we've already seen a kind of a result. Heart River Co-op, it sounds like, is going to dissolve. So we're going to lose a team. They'll go back to Belfield and South Heart.
Yeah.
So we'll lose a team out of our region there. So I think we're down to 7 teams then. So there's another obviously game that we have to pick up. But it's definitely going to change. And the negative as far as a coaching standpoint, it's going to really tear into our weekends now. We're not going to have as many weekends off because we're going to be going maybe on overnighters on Friday, Saturday, just because of the way the scheduling is going to go now. But that's I guess that's a result of what's happening, and and that's okay.
I'm interested, before I let you go, just the feedback you've had either going to the grocery store or the gas station, people talking to you out in that part of the world. What has the feedback been about this happening?
Well, to be honest, I haven't heard a lot. I think everybody in our community knows that, we were going to be in that middle class if it did happen. I think it's a mix. I think if you talk to older people, they don't like it because they're the traditional Class B tournament, that type of thing. They want it the way it always has been, but I don't think it has been that way for a while. The state tournament has just been different the last 10, 12 years. It just has.
No doubt.
But if you talk to younger people, I think they're a little more open to it. And I think they're a little more excited about it. So I think, again, it depends on who you talk to and what era they came from as well, because everybody has their opinion on how they think it should be or how they want it to be and how they want it to stay versus not want it to change.
And, this is no offense to you or your team, but there are certain regions, and I put 7 in there, where you can rubber stamp 1 or 2 is going to be in the region championship. It in November. And that's not great. You want it to be as open as possible. I know you got to win the games, but I look at Region 5, I look at Region 1, Region 2, where those are automatic, Region 4, slam dunks, are going to make it. Now, that's the greatness of it, that 4 wins got beat in the region semifinals. That's the greatness of the tournament. But I think even you would agree that there are certain ones that came out there that, in the way it has been, you already knew who was going to make it. Or at least you had an idea of 1 or 2 teams were going to be representing the state at the state tournament in March.
Yeah, a pretty good idea anyway,
Yes.
for sure,
Yep.
Tom. And that's why I think the state tournament has really changed because of that.
Yep.
Over the last 10 to 12 years. So, I can't argue that with you one bit, because you can look at some regions and definitely point out the ones that it has been pretty common who those teams are showing up. And, it's, I think it's time for a change, and I think it'll be fun. I think everybody's going to enjoy it next year. There'll be some bumps, but I think people are going to enjoy following it. And when it gets to state tournament time, it's just going to be fun following it. So
it's great to see you as always. Congratulations on making it back to state. Thanks so much for the time, and good luck on Thursday afternoon, all right?
absolutely. And anytime, I appreciate you having me on, Dom.
Good to see you, man. Jeremy Brandt, head coach
Thanks.
of the Beulah Miners, heading back to the state tournament here in 2023. They'll match up in our second game of the day as they'll take on Medina Pingree Buchanan in that second game coming up at the Bismarck Event Center. Of course, we'll have full coverage of the State B beginning Thursday at 1 on WDAY. We're due for a break. We come back. Sources indicate it is my birthday today. And in honor of that, I have 4 birthday wishes. I know we only get 1, but it's my own show, so I'm doing 4. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com. Welcome back, everybody. A Monday morning edition of Hot Mike, WDAY Extra, Inforum.com. Thompson boys basketball head coach Brandy George will join us tomorrow. The 2019 state champs are back. They won Region 2. He'll join us on the show tomorrow. A tweet comes in from our good friend Zach Dosh, who we had on the show on Friday. Wouldn't it be nice if the Jets traded for Aaron Rodgers on Dom Izzo's birthday? I have to remind everybody, last year on my birthday, that Tom Brady unretired on my birthday. That was the best gift anybody could get. So why not if the Packers and Jets make a deal today? Gosh, that would be something else. We'll see. In lieu of that, I have constructed, I know we normally get 1 wish. but it's my show, and we've got a little bit of time here. I have 4 birthday wishes I've come up for. If any of these happen over the next 364 days, between now and March 13th of 2024, I will be a very happy man. These 4 I'm asking for. One of the 4. 2, we're living well. 1, a Met and Jet playoff win. Okay? I've not seen any postseason wins for my 2 favorite teams in 7 years. Sorry, 8 years now. The Jets haven't even made the playoffs since 2010. All right? The Mets made the playoffs. Couldn't beat the Padres to get into the wild card round. One of those, can we have them happen? Second, seed the top 16 for the FCS playoffs. Can we do that? I've actually got some steam on that may potentially happen for the fall of 2023 after the debacle of what happened with the UND and Weber State game. But just seed it the top 16, right? Then you could still do the opening weekend, but then teams 9 through 16 are hosting Thanksgiving weekend. No more of this bid stuff, right? That the higher seed hosts, and then they go on the road for the second round. And we actually have a true, like the 1 seed actually plays the team that's supposedly seeded 23 or 24, right? Can we do that? Is that too much to ask? From what I've been told, there's actually some momentum for potentially that happening. Third wish, and this one I've been hammering for a bit since we found out 3 classes coming, to expand North Dakota basketball 1 week. All I'm asking is 1 week on the schedule. I'm asking ADs, coaches, you got to work 1 more week. We're working. You got to work 1 more week. Why that's a thing? Because then we're not jammed with tournaments that you could spread this out a little bit. Because next year you're going to have the Class A and B girls and girls hockey all happening at the same weekend. You could have the Class A and B boys get spread out and have one. If you want the B boys to be by itself, you could do that. Heck, even if you wanted to keep it the same, if you wanted to have A and B girls together, then the Super A, then the A boys, then the B boys. Because newsflash, Eric, show one of our tower cams outside. We're not playing any spring sports yet. I know spring sports actually start practicing today. Track opens practice today. Who's running outside of crazy people? Nobody. There's no spring sports that are going to start here for at least a month. You want me to put a ballpark on it here? I'll say April 20th. We're probably playing our first games outside. And that's with no inside intel from our Storm Tracker team. I'm going to tell you that. So why? Why are we starting it then? We're punishing the spring kids by making them practice inside for a month. Why not extend that? And heck, and then when you're doing that, extend the spring season. That I didn't put on my wish list because I know that's probably a fantasy. But can we do that? Lastly, and this one just got voted down not that long ago, to seed the Minnesota high school football playoffs. Because it makes no sense when you have, especially, I'm going to pick on Class 2A because that's the one where Barnesville's in and has had the most success, that they have had to play maybe the state championship game either in the quarterfinal round or the semifinal round. Seed it like, just crazy. Seed it like North Dakota does. Take the top 5. Then you have a random, like they do with hockey in Minnesota and like they do with basketball in Minnesota. Why is that such a random or crazy thought? I know not everybody plays the same teams, but you have that QRF sitting out there. Why not use it for that? I don't understand why that's such a taboo subject to talk about. Can we get that? So we're not having the best teams play in the first round that maybe we actually have them play at US Bank Stadium in the championship game? Is that out of the realm of possibilities for us to do? Like I said, one of those things could happen on that list. I'm a very happy man. I'm already a happy guy. Got health, family's good, good job, all that good stuff. I'm asking for one. One of those things to happen. One of those things that we could have happen for 2023. I'd be okay with that. Or maybe have the women's NIT bracket come out before they actually play the games. It's so bizarre that this hasn't happened yet. I guess it'll happen before maybe they play. Who knows? We're due for a break. We come back. State champion basketball head coach Travis Hoeg will join us from Fargo North after their electric win on Saturday night. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com. Welcome back, everybody, on this Monday morning on Hot Mike, WDAY Extra, Inforum.com. You know, there are moments we have in sports where sometimes just people reach out randomly and just to say, boy, that was really neat. That was a cool experience. And that was the case this weekend, at least for me, at the State A basketball tournament, both for the Grand Forks Red River girls and the Fargo North boys, who ended up winning the state championships in different ways. The Red River girls winning it basically as a one-woman team, and that's not to slight the other players, but Jocelyn Schiller now has become a household name for every basketball fan in the state. For the North boys, they became almost must-see TV over the last couple days, and if anybody saw our TV coverage or was at the Shack, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Also to that point, I had numerous text messages just saying how happy they were that Travis Hoeg won a state championship at Fargo North, and he joins us now as a state champion head basketball coach. What does that mean to you? I had people coming up just texting me saying, boy, I'm really happy that Travis won. That he's such a good guy that he deserved that. What does that mean to you?
You know, for me, it just it kind of reinforces that it's all about relationships, and I feel like I've established a lot of great relationships around the community here. The ability to coach a little AAU basketball in the spring and summer and meet a lot of the different families around the state of North Dakota and become friends with those families. It's a great feeling. I'll just put it that way. It's a great feeling.
So the last time you were on was when you got moved up to the interim coach. Now here we are 18 months later. You're a state champion. I mean, can you even describe that of what the last 18 months have been like?
Man, it's been a whirlwind. Yeah. I mean, ups and downs, and, we faced some adversity. And I guess when I took over this year as first year full-time head coach, and experienced what a whole season's like, I really realized how much work it is too. Holy cow. I told Dan Schultes, I'm like, hey man, I need a secretary. I can't handle all this administrative stuff. I just want to practice and coach. I don't want to do all this other stuff. But, it was a learning lesson for me and, kind of learn on the fly, but what an experience. It's been a blast.
Tell me when you had a feeling about this team. Was it all the way up, like even back in November, or was there a certain moment like we got something, we may be able to win this whole thing?
I'm going to take it way back, Dom.
Okay.
I had the chance to coach these kids as youth, growing up. And I think starting in fourth grade, and then I think in fifth or sixth grade, we decided to kind of get these guys together and travel around the Midwest during tournaments and stuff like that. And when I started coaching these guys at a young age, I was telling some of the parents, I'm like, these guys are talented. They're really good, man. It's going to be special when these kids get into high school. So, for me, the initial thought started years ago, coaching these guys, little guys running around the floor. But this year going into the season, I knew we had a chance. Every team's got a chance when the season opens, and in the EDC, man, it was a battle every night. It was such a competitive conference this year. I talked to several of the coaches pregame when we meet up, and we talked about just how competitive it was, and how any given night any of these teams can beat any of the other teams. So I think that really helped kind of establish the season and put us in a situation to kind of maybe do something special towards the end of the season. So
we're watching the video here of the fans storming the court. Where were you, and how did you navigate through that after the game on Saturday?
Well, So I tried to avoid it. I can't remember who I got. I know I went and thanked the parents, and I went and kind of pointed to our student section, and just wanted to express my gratitude for, them coming and supporting us on such kind of an awful weather weekend. And so I did that, and then I looked over and I saw Peter Hauge was going to shake hands right away, and I was like, boy, I better show a little class too. So I stepped into the line right away and went and started to congratulate Red River on their season and some of those guys. So yeah,
I know it's been an emotional last few months, obviously with your dad passing. Tell me what you were thinking about right after the game.
Yeah. To kind of talk to my dad, and yeah, he was just a big supporter. He loved those guys. He loved coming to games, and him and my mom were their biggest supporters. They grew up watching, or I shouldn't say they grew up, but they came to all the tournament games watching those kids grow up, and they've always been lifelong supporters of me and the guys that I coach. So yeah, and then I'll just talk about my team real quick. They just wrapped their arms around me, when I was facing a little bit of adversity through the season there, and just surrounded me with a lot of love. It was great.
Even when I'm getting done with the girls' game, and I went up to the balcony level at the Shack, and I've been in there for hundreds of games, much like yourself, and I'm looking around like, boy, this is not normal. Did you take a moment at least to do that either Friday night or Saturday night when your team came out saying, holy cow, we got a different vibe in here tonight?
Yeah. Special too. I mean, I was like, wow, the support is awesome. But the Saturday night was just incredible. And then just all the people reaching out that day, just, wishing my squad and myself good luck and things like that. And just really feeling the support of the Northside community. I tell we live in a great community up here, and it's a beautiful area, and it's quiet, and we've got great kids and great schools. So I'm really big time for the Northside community and to bring a title back for them. And I got a call from an alum, Steve Radeye, and he was like, I talked to alum from 2003 to 2013. We're just all excited for you guys and pumped for you, and thanks for bringing the title back to Fargo North. So yeah, it was awesome.
You describe that, Trav, just of how different it is. The North Side it's a different animal. Why was this such a big deal for you guys to win Saturday?
Well, I think we're kind of considered blue collar up here, kind of like, just, I don't know. I actually graduated from Bismarck Century, and we were known as cake eaters. That's what everybody called us, And I think Davies has got a little bit of that reputation here in Fargo. You can't go wrong in any school you're going to go to in Fargo. We got great schools here, but yeah, Northside's a little different of a beast. We have a lot of pride up here, and we're very supportive of one another. And I feel like it's almost like a really small community in a huge metropolitan area. So.
I remember visiting with you out at State a couple years ago when you guys first made it in 21 and seeing the pieces there. Like, boy, you got some young guy with Jeremiah was a freshman, Carter Zeller was a freshman. Like, all right, well, they got a couple building blocks there, and now here you are 2 years later, and you won the whole thing. How much did the struggles at State the last 2 years get you the hard lessons, that overtime game with Minot last year, to get you where you are now?
Yeah, I remember that. Man, we're gonna have to deal with Carter Zeller and Jeremiah Sam for 3 more years. It's like, yeah, we're fortunate to have them on board, But I tell you, last year, I knew after last year the guys were gonna come into this season with an attitude of, we need to get things done this year. That heartbreaker loss to Minot, who ended up eventually winning the state championship last year, was really tough. That locker room was really hard to walk into and try to lift the guys' spirits and tell them everything was going to be okay. Yeah. So I think that prepared us big time, especially that game. And I think kind of the emotions and how we felt after that game got us ready for this season.
I have people keep asking me, what's up with Jeremiah? What's next? Can you tell us about what college interest is there and what is the potential for him at the next level?
Yeah, and just interested in him. Dave's reached out here and there, and we had him on campus for an unofficial visit last year after the season. UND's reached out, excuse me, and then I've been in contact also with some coaches from Xavier, and they got a chance to see him this last summer during some AAU basketball, and they liked what they saw, and they're kind of in contact a little bit too. But I was visiting with him. He called and offered some congratulations, and I just kind of looked at, or I kind of asked him, I said, Luke, you know a little bit more about this recruiting stuff than me. I don't know a whole lot about it, being a first-year head coach. And I said, what's the deal? Why aren't more schools reaching out for Jeremiah? I mean, he is a special talent that's just got some crazy abilities on that floor. And so I think we just need to get some more exposure for him. He's got some decisions to make this summer on what program he's going to play for. We're going to sit down with him and kind of visit with him and kind of explore what the best option. What the best option for him is this spring and summer. So
Carter, the same way. I mean, I know he's a great football player as well. Has he made up his mind of like what he wants? Does he want to do football? Does he want to do basketball?
Yeah. I get it. Like some offers to play basketball. I'd rather play basketball. He's a basketball guy, but he's like, but if like a big time school comes for me at football,
yeah,
I'll play football because I really love football too. So he's a funny cat, Carter.
Well, he was great after the game. He gave a couple of fantastic interviews after the wins on Friday and on Saturday. So what's on the docket for today? You put the feet up. What do you got planned here, man?
Yeah, I was thinking about this morning. I was like, whoever decided Fargo Public Schools calendar, I gotta write a check to him because man, I get this whole week off of work and just get to relax and enjoy. And I'll probably go back and watch that championship game again. I'd like to watch that with some guys and kind of relive that a little bit. But other than that, yeah, it's just definitely going to be a week of relaxation and rest.
And the scary thing is you have almost everybody back. I mean, I know nothing is guaranteed, as you well know, but you have almost your entire team back for next year. I mean, when does the thought process turn for 2024?
Yeah. We lose Welcome and we lose John. And, Welcome was a starter for us most of the season. And John, had some spot minutes here and there. And then we're bringing everybody else back. So, man, I am feeling really good about that and grateful that I get to lead these guys again next season. We're going to hit some team camps, obviously, this summer and get them in the gym all summer, get them on the shooting machine. Looking at our stats, we're a team that I think we need to get more guys invested on that shooting machine this summer, and I really want to try to increase our 3-point shooting percentage for next season. That's going to be one of our major goals.
He's already back coaching here, folks. No doubt about that. If I were to tell you, 4 or 5 years ago that Grant Nelson is going to be an NBA prospect from your time in AAU basketball, would you have believed me then? Did you think it then?
I knew he was good. He played for our program, ECI, and his junior year going into that senior season, he was lights out good that summer. He did some special things, but I didn't think NBA. I knew he had a nice body for basketball, long, tall, could shoot it, had really good handles for a big guy. But it's been so fun to see the attention he's getting on the national media and the spotlight and this talk of NBA. It's, man, for a North Dakota kid, wow, it's something special.
You can brag you coached him, right? I'm assuming you're going to do that, right? You got.
I got to watch him. I didn't really get to coach him. Mormon had him that year. So, but I was his biggest fan.
Oh man, I'm super pumped for you, bud. Thanks so much for doing this. I know the voice is still coming back. I really appreciate it. Congratulations. Enjoy this as much as possible. Okay.
I appreciate it, Dom, and thanks for covering us. And you always do such a great job, man. You are a talented young guy too. So appreciate having me.
I'm 44 today, man. I appreciate you said young, so thank you. I appreciate that. Holy cow!
Yes, sir. Happy birthday.
Thanks, buddy boy. Good to see you, Travis Hoeg, state champion now, head coach at Fargo North after the Spartans beating Red River on Saturday night to bring home a first state championship since Tyler Koenig and that memorable Fargo North team did in 2006. We will take our final break. We come back. We'll get you ready for a busy Sports Monday. We'll do that when Hot Mike wraps on WDAY Extra at Inforum.com. right, wrapping up our Monday Spectacular. Appreciate all the comments today. As always, our emails and tweets coming in. Our thanks to Travis Hoeg for coming on. Email comes in. Dom, don't you know all former Green Bay quarterbacks play for the Jets before coming to the Vikings? I'm well aware of that. I don't know if that's going to copy its way again. We're on pins and needles, like I mentioned off the top of the show, about what old number 12 is going to do. By the way, I found this hilarious. Didn't he say after the season that he wasn't going to drag this out? Well, here we are in March. Same thing. I don't blame the Packers at all for being PO'd about this. Not at all. Go ahead. Move on. Do it. Do what you got to do. We want to spend money in free agency. We want to figure out who's going to be on our team. Give me a break. That act is old, and they've been down it a couple of times here. First with Favre, and now with Aaron Rodgers. Like for the third year in a row, they're dealing with this. We mentioned on Friday, of course, the Vikings made the news on releasing Adam Thielen. They also let Cam Dantzler go. Over the weekend, the legend Bud Grant passed away. If there's anybody that symbolizes Minnesota, it is him. As he took the Vikings to their 4 Super Bowl appearances in the 70s. Still was spry as ever at 96, I think he was. The legend that he was. And we'll see. The Vikes have some more moves to make as we sit here with the legal tampering period is now underway, which I love that in the NFL. It's such a bizarre deal as free agency begins on Wednesday. As I said off the top of the show, the transfer portal is now officially open for basketball. There is a bunch of names that have already gone in there. There will be some names you recognize. Now, will this be as flurry of an activity as we saw last year with the Bison men? I don't know. Last year, you remember, we saw, and the Bison women, frankly, 5 guys within the first week on the Bison men went into the portal. It was Greasel, then it was Edie, Malik Harden-Hayes went in, Jarius Cook went in. Those are the 4 biggies that everybody took notice of. The women certainly saw their players leave. Now, obviously, the Bison women are still playing basketball, so they may delay on potentially who might head into the portal there. But it's going to be, UND is going to have some big-time names, I think, that are going to surprise people that are going to end up there. Just that was the word on the street when we were in Sioux Falls. And they're not the only Summit League teams. There are going to be other ones that are going to get hit here over the next few days. That's where we're at. Much like with FCS football. You may hate it, but this is the name of the game, what we're dealing with right now in mid-major and FCS football. Let's get you ready for what to watch before we get out of here on this Monday. Minnesota Timberwolves back in action after they lost to the Nets in their last time out on Friday. Now they match up with the Hawks. Atlanta's in the 8th spot in the East. Currently the Wolves in the 7th spot, tied with Dallas at 34-34, a game back of Golden State in the Western Conference. That's to get out of the play-in tournament. The Wolves have a realistic shot of getting out of the play-in tournament if they can put things together here. They've already played 68 games, and they have 14 games to go in the regular season. They've lost 2 straight as they match up with the Hawks tonight. The World Baseball Classic is going on. Does anybody even know about it? The United States lost last night to Mexico. Tonight they play Canada, 9 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. And Freddie Freeman, by the way, is playing for the Canadian team, not for the American team. I can't figure that one out, but that's where he's at. That's 9 o'clock tonight on FS1. I'm not sure if anybody's watching this tournament, but this is the round-robin stage. The U.S. is 1-1 so far in its group play. And 9 o'clock tonight, ESPN, really good NBA game. Suns, and I mentioned the Warriors on ESPN. No Kevin Durant, who hurt himself warming up last week. The Warriors are still kind of scuffling, as we mentioned, in that 6th spot, but should be an interesting game there. Minnesota Twins are also in action today, not on television as they play the Yankees, as we get closer to the start of the baseball season. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Jeff Kolpack, to Jeremy Brandt, and Travis Hoeg. If you missed any of our program, get podcasted later today at Inforum.com. Appreciate the birthday wishes from everybody. Should be a great day today. We'll see you back here tomorrow on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com.